Okay, so we're gonna now begin with a question, which is, what's the explanation of how it could be that the kiddush would maybe come first in the hierarchy of if we could only afford certain mitzvahs? Doesn't the mitzvah of lighting Hanukkah near Hanukkah or lighting near Shabbos come first? Doesn't it come before Chal? Doesn't it come before Kiddush? How then did we learn yesterday, or a few days ago rather, that Challah will come first in the hierarchy of mitzvahs if we could only afford some mitzvahs? There's ein ma'avir in all mitzvahs. You're not allowed to pass over a mitzvah. That mitzvah comes to us first. So the Chiya Adom in Klaus Hamaches, he explains over here that ein ma'avir in all mitzvahs means that the mitzvah that comes to our hand first, we have to perform that mitzvah. We can't leave it aside. We have to do that mitzvah right now. We can't decide we're gonna do it later, or so that we're gonna do the other one. And this is an Isser Daraisa, prohibition from the Torah. Okay? Can't do it later. So the truth is that this splits up. It has three different conditions that are needed for this. So this isn't a blanket rule. Ein ma'avir al mitzvahs means that when a person wants to perform two mitzvahs, for example, he wants to put on talis and tefillin. So if he touches his tefillin first, now he needs to put on his tefillin. Technically, now we learned maybe there's exceptions in siman chafei, but that's the general halacha, is that if a person reaches into his tefillin and talis bag, that he needs to grab his talis first. However, someone doesn't have time to fulfill both of them, only one of them, so then there's no problem of passing over a mitzvah. Person only has only had time to do one. Or if one is better than the other one in a halachic way, or it's more common, so then it's fine. Ein ma'avir and al mitzvah doesn't apply. Or if one is time sensitive, so a person could perform the time sensitive mitzvah. Chiya Adom then continues and writes that ein ma'avir and al mitzvahs, it's only talking about if you were actually involved with the mitzvah. We'll see about that more. If you weren't involved yet, then it might not be an issue. Condition number 3 is, this is only talking about if you're able to perform the mitzvah, the current mitzvah right now, like you would be able to perform it later. But if you won't be able to perform it like you will later, if you're going to wait, you can perform it in a better way. It's better to wait a day or two. That's what we learn in the Shulchan Aruch. It's in Tav Chav Vav. Kiddush Levana, better to wait on it. Sefer Chassidim argues, it says it's better to do it immediately. I'd like to add a pretty discussed shiloh, very interesting shiloh. The Mishnah Brura made it more famous in Hilchos Shmona Esrei, which is if a fellow's incarcerated in prison, and for some reason he can't daven there. Maybe where he is living in the room, there's a toilet, and it smells, whatever it is, he can't daven there. Or there's no minyan in the shul.
I think that was
Right? No minyan.
the case. They're giving one chance to down the minyan.
Right. So, question is, should he wait for Yom Kippur or Purim, another very auspicious time? After all, Yom Kippur is Yom Kippurim. Right? Or should he daven then and there? So the Radbad says daven then and there because they might not let you out. So the Chiya Adom over here is alluding to something. When he says that if you're going to wait, you could do it better. So he says, Mutuv sheyamtin yom o yamayim. What does that mean, Mutuv sheyamtin yom o yamayim? What does that sound like? How long should you wait?
A day or two.
Only a day or two. Sounds like this is a little different than the Radbads. Radbad said, no, a day or two, you might be dead. Comes the Chiya Adom and said, nah, it's not likely you're going to die in a day or two. So therefore, you can wait in a day or two. Therefore, in the situation of the prison, Chiya Adom could very well hold, no, if it's only a day or two, wait it out. That's the Chiya Adom. Let's take a look now in the Nishmas Adom, down below. The commentary on the Chiya Adom called the Nishmas Adom Bedin ein ma'avirin ala mitzvos lo zachitzi liros b'divrei Rishonim klal bazeh. Regarding all the halachic specifications of ein ma'avirin ala mitzvos, I never merited seeing this in the Rishonim. The Rishonim, they don't talk about it. Sarachian hodam rinon. So Sarachian, because we have a sugi over here, and they're based on Kiddush Yom No Bear, so called them Mishum Shalom Hayis. We learned the Gemara in Shabbos a few days ago. If a person only had limited funds, so then Medina did the Gemara, as we learned. Ner Shabbos will come first. Why? Because of Shalom Hayis. It will come before Kiddush. By the way, even nowadays, with the whole other shilas, with the challah business coming first, like we learned, with the shilah of the electricity, maybe Ner Chanukah would come first nowadays. Nevertheless, Ner Shabbos definitely comes before Kiddush. Even nowadays, so this kasha certainly is valid. It's a good lumdus that I just added. Not just a lumdus, that's a good halachic addition and twist to crystallize this and make it even sweeter. So nowadays, what do we have? We have a situation of Ner coming first. Ner Shabbos comes before Kiddush. If a person only has funds for either Ner Shabbos or Kiddush, it goes towards Ner Shabbos. Why Shalom Bayis? Ask the Nishmas Adom Tipuk Lei Shahari Mitzvot Sadlokos Haner Mivoy Join. V'adayin lo hirgia sha'as. Kiddush. V'im kein aram yamal mitzvos. V'chein dvarim tu v'dechoshes b'shas. B'Shabbos. Why doesn't the Gemara say, ask the Nishmas Adom? Wait a second. The mitzvah of Ner Shabbos, we're lighting when it's still day, and therefore the time didn't come yet for Kiddush. So since the obligation of Ner Shabbos hit us, we became obligated first in Ner Shabbos before Kiddush. We have to pay for the expenses of Ner Shabbos before. And it's ein ma'avir ala mitzvah, so you can't pass over a mitzvah. In other words, why did the Gemara say that Ner Shabbos comes first due to the reason of Shalom Bayis? Just say more simple, ein ma'avir ala mitzvah, the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos hits us first. We're obligated in it first. Thank you very much for your song. Yes, it's kasha many places. In Shas, ein ma'avir ala mitzvah. So comes along the Nishmas Adom and says, I found Tosfos answers this kasha. Tosfos in Maseches Yuman Daf Lamed Gimel and Dibur Masku ein ma'avir, and he writes v'zel l'shoina. The law yishayach ein ma'avirin ela heichi de beinon lemeva travayu sheishlahaktim ahu de poga beberesha. When does ein ma'avirin ela mitzvahs get applied? You can't now. You have one mitzvah in front of you, so now you can't go and do the next mitzvah. You are walking to a shul that's 4 blocks away from you, but you're passing a shul that's only 2 blocks away from you. So now ein ma'avirin ela mitzvah says you're not allowed to go to the shul 4 blocks away from you. You're passing over a shul. No. That's only it wouldn't apply to the shul case for many reasons. But according to this reason that he's saying, ein ma'avir ala mitzvahs is only applies heichud de beiman lemeva travayu when you want to do both of them. When you want to do 2 mitzvahs and now 1 mitzvah, you came closer to it first, or the obligation hit you first. Now you have to do that mitzvah because you're doing 2 mitzvahs. You reached into your tefillin and talis bag. You accidentally grabbed your tefillin first. You want to do both mitzvahs, talis, tefillin. Boom, you got to do tefillin. Medina de Gemara, Medina de Shulchan Aruch, Mikra din. Unless you come onto certain exceptions. That's because the beiman lemivah travayu sheishlachtim ahu de poga beberesha. You want to do both of them. You have to now do the mitzvah that you reach for first, that came to you first. Aval, masha'inkin, conversely. If you're only going to do 1 mitzvah, but if you only want to do 1 mitzvah, then we don't say this. For example, over here, the guy, he's got limited funds, this fellow. He could either do or the mitzvah of Kiddush or the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. Right, he can't do both. Therefore, ein ma'avir al mitzvahs does not apply. Imagine like this. Imagine person who has a few kids, and one of the kids, he gets a special gift, a beautiful special gift, and he gives it to that child in front of all the other children. The other children are looking there and says, "What are we, chopped liver? What's going on over here? This is ludicrous." Oh, so that would be a problem because there's multiple kids. But if a person has an only child, give him whatever gift you want. You're not going to hurt their feelings. If you're going to do only one mitzvah, you're not going to hurt the other mitzvah's feelings because you don't have the ability to do other mitzvahs.
You're still choosing to do that mitzvah with the other one.
You're
Right.
choosing to do that mitzvah over the other one, but that's not that you're not doing it in front of the other mitzvah's face, so to say.
Mhm.
Like if you get your gift for one of your kids, but your other kids aren't in the room, it's not in front of their face. If they're never going to see that gift, like sometimes eat the candy in this room so that they don't see it, and then they won't get the candy. Right? That's what it is. Once in a while, if one kid was good, the other one wasn't, that's a whole shiloh of itself. Incentives. I say, when I give them the candy, I say, look, I'm giving this to you because you cleaned up, you were nice, but you should know, you should do it because it's a mitzvah. You should do it because it's the right thing to do. Because this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants of you, not for the candy, not for the incentive. That's what I tell them. They know at a young age. I dish it out hard to these kids. Uncle Panim, that's the Indian. That is the classic shaila in the Gemara. Therefore, if a person has two mitzvahs, one of them is more common than the other, one of them is mukdash, one of them is holier than the other. There's another rule. If both mitzvahs are equal. However, if they're not equal, but if they're not equal mitzvahs, if one mitzvah has a halachic advantage over the other mitzvah, such as, for example, if it's more common or if it's holier, then there's no problem of ein ma'avir al mitzvahs on the mitzvah there. Even if a person is going to be performing a mitzvah which didn't come to him first with the obligation, didn't hit him first. Nevertheless, since it is more common or if it's holier, so then it could actually be performed first, that mitzvah. In other words, let's say now a new story. We have two mitzvahs that are on us. The obligation of mitzvah aleph, we're obligated mitzvah aleph before mitzvah beis. Boom, we're still allowed to perform mitzvah beis. Why? Because either it's more common or it's holy or it has another halachic maila attribute associated with it. Another exception. Again, we're just going to be doing what I thought are the main highlights. If anyone wants to, feel free to go through this on your own time, the entire Nishmas Adam for all the lamdas and the back and forth. I myself personally went through this, but for the sake of what I think Klal Yisrael would be interested in, we're going to do the highlights. Even just the highlights are more than the average Jew. So we should feel accomplished. That's, I think, basically all he says. I think he's going to say one wrap-up comment at the end of here. Yeah, that's basically the point. So those are the Yesoidas. So just to summarize why we came here in our lives and we dedicated time to this is because it's very important to our sugya. That if a person only wants to do one mitzvah, there's no ma'avir, ein ma'avir mitzvah. Or if one has a halachic advantage, there's no problem with ein ma'avir. The Divrei Malkiel in his Shailus and Chuvas, Vorach Chaim Siman Yud Zayin, or Malkiel Svi Tenenbaum. He also discusses the Shaila Siman Yud Zayin, Osalam et Zayin. Osalam et Zayin. It's a long siman. It's also kedai if anyone wants to look at the end of the siman. He has a little summary of the siman. We're not gonna sit on this too much because the aim of mitzvahs, I mean, you could spend a lot of time on this. Just bringing it up as a side point of why it doesn't apply over here, but it's important to know and get educated about aim of mitzvahs in general. It says like this. Ima mitzvah mizumenes l'fanav. If the mitzvah is prepared, if it's in front of a guy's face, he's ready to do it. But over here, halcha, you only have money. Chain lo ma'os l'kiddush or l'ner. You have enough money for either kiddush or ner, not both. You can't have the cake and eat it too. You have money for one, not both. Right? That's what life's about. Choices, decisions. Making the right decisions. So guys only got enough funds for one. Shaila is in yikna behem yayin. Shu patim in aner. If a person's going to purchase yayin, he's buying wine for kiddush. He's exempt from there. The fish ain't lomos because he got no cash left. Let's say he's got an air that's prepared. What is this word?
Bezeh? No.
Bezeh.
No.
Of a kosten shaper shayach ein mavirin. I don't know what that word. I can't read it. But hold on. V'im yesh lo ner muchan. I think what he's saying like this. Aval, hold on, let's read the next line. Kishiyesh lo ner, kishiyesh lo yayin nira desarich l'moichu v'ikach ner, mishum shalom bayis. I think what he's saying, if you have an air, so then you're fine, you can light an air. But if you have yayin, could be that you need to sell it to buy an air because shalom bayis v'leika b'zeim mavirin. Even to koydem alayla locha alav, and dayin chovas kiddush klal. It wouldn't be an aim mavirin problem because no obligation of kiddush. After shari lakadish mevoyjom, even though you could make kiddush, so make your achiv ve'ino achal. I think what he's saying like this. The mitzvah of Ner Shabbos. What do you mean? We're obligated in that one first. So therefore, when we use our money for Ner Shabbos instead of yayin for kiddush, there's no problem being mamir because the mitzvah of Ner Shabbos hits us first. Kiddush technically you could do when it's still day from Plaga Mincha. You're right, but the main obligation of kiddush only kicks in at night. So therefore, there's no ein mavir in this specific case. Amazing tshuva we found in the amazing tshuva zocha to find the middle of the different malkil shilos and tshuvas out of all places in Kol Terakula, and then in the middle he's addressing within this tshuva this small technical point of our sugya. Boom! It's right here. Is that an amazing concept? Is that just amazing? Something so technical and detailed. That just shows, that's an example of the fifth parak of Pirkei Avos. Hafeich ba dekula ba. Delve into the Torah, delve into the Torah. Everything is in the Torah. They used to say by the Chazon Ish. They used to say that big advanced doctors would come to him. They would travel from New York, other places, to ask the most complex medical shilohs. Look at his biography. He mentions it multiple times. The Chazon Ish said, what do you mean? It's a Rashi in Maseches Chulin. Chazon Ish paskening on it, heart surgery, open heart surgery, these most complex medical shilas that come up. They asked him, how can you do that? He said, very simple. Everything is in the Torah. That's the koyach of the Chazon Ish medical shilas. Can you imagine such a thing? Say Ramosha also, he paskened the very complex medical shilah with the Siamese twins that were connected. They shared 5 chambers of the heart. Can you imagine? Everything is in the Torah. You just got to know where to find it. Or if you learned it before, then you already know where it is. Anyways, this is the Shilos and Shuvas different Malkiel. Okay. So that covers the Sugya of Eim Avir Mitzvahs. And with that, we could go closer to the conclusion of this Sugya. And really all we have left is the Dersher notes.
So he was saying
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, you can't sell the wine to get the
100%.
ner because
Correct.
it's not there yet.
Correct? Exactly. Which is a beautiful, very specific, but technical and yet important point directly nogaya to our Sugya. Let's take a look at the the Dirshu. I think we could actually come close to finishing this all right now. Okay. Okay, I see what's going on. Yeah. We're gonna pass over footnote 1 for now. Because that's electricity. I don't want to rush it. We only have 12 minutes left. What just happened? I just deleted that. So we're gonna pass over the electricity and save that for next time. If nowadays the order goes, we're gonna go straight to footnote 2. All right. Vim tov v'savar shenircha. What is this? Yeah, closed abruptly. That's right. Okay. The person made a mistake. Footnote 2. Let's get the zoom in. Actually looks good when you zoom in over here. No one's got a squint. If a person made a mistake, all right, happens. People make mistakes in life. And what did the fella do? Guy made a mistake. Sorry, by the way, that the copy got very close to the edge. Some of it was even cut off a little. Apologize for that. So a person made a mistake, and what did he do? V'hidlik es haner hayochid b'chutz l'mitzvahs ner Chanukah. The guy had one ner. Right? This is talking Medina de Gemara tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem. When we conclude this sugya, we're going to get to if this still applies nowadays. Of Ner Shabbos coming before Ner Chanukah, since we have electricity, fine. I'll just say right now, Reb Chaim Kanievsky hold it does still apply. So let's go within the sheet of Reb Chaim. So now Ner Shabbos should have come first. Okay. However, the fella accidentally lit Ner Chanukah for the mitzvah. And then someone told him, by the way, you should know, I just did a deep dive on the sugya. I learned it for around 4 hours about which comes first. And by the way, Ner Shabbos comes first. They found out that Ner Shabbos is better. So the guy has one Ner. He used it for Ner Chanukah because he didn't come to the Chabur or watch the video after the recording. And therefore, he lit the wrong Ner. So now the shaila is, halach l'maisa, could he extinguish the Ner Chanukah to use it for Ner Shabbos? Comes along the shailas and chuvas afarstika daniya. Reb Schreiber, Chilik al Siman Yud Zayin. I did not look up the tshuva, but I'll say another very interesting tshuva of the afarstika daniya. Chenechshav gehektish b'taos. It's considered that you designated something to the Beis Hamikdash mistakenly. It was a mistake. It was an error. Which the halacha would be in that case? You could, yes, backsies. That's the halacha. Hektish b'taos is just backsies. Take that back. But you could pick up the Ner Chanukah they accidentally lit, bring it into your house for Shabbos, because remember, in order to show they light outside. So it's outside. You could bring it in your house, boom, and then use it for Shabbos. Now we'd have to look up in the tshuva. So now what do you do with the bracha? You make a new bracha, the hadlik ner shel Shabbos? I don't know. I didn't look up the tshuva. It's a very specific shaila, which doesn't happen often. It's not so applicable. So I didn't look it up, but it's a very interesting shaila. The other tshuva from the Afarstika Daniya that I remember seeing inside once is he says Pshat in the Gemara Brachos when the Rebbe Gamliel used to say only someone who's Tochel Kabara, who's sincere and really wants to learn Torah and has good mitzvahs, etc., he can learn inside the base medrash. If not, so then he can. And they used to have guards in front of the base medrash to let people who aren't Tochel Kabara out. So they asked the question, what did the guards do? How did this 6.5-foot guy who wasn't Jewish know who to let in or not? So he says, don't say, he doesn't like this as an answer, but don't say that they were received instruction not to let anyone in, and the people really wanted to come in. They found a way in. He says, "Don't say that." There's other answers to the question, anyways. But Gemara Brachos, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches. Anyway, so this is his Torah over here. This is Chiddush. Oh, here's the Shalom Bayis. Wait, what was footnote 1? Oh, no. We're not going to pass over footnote 1. I made an error. We're not going to pass over footnote 4 now. It's if we even get to 4. So we're going to go in order of the footnotes. Okay? Footnote 1 is like this. This is the question that we asked the other day. No one had an answer to. That's because it's really a riddle. It's a very difficult question to answer. I remember someone asked me this question one time in the lunchroom, cafeteria in Shar Yoshev, and I actually was machaving to what the Prima Gadim says, and I provided that answer. Misha B'Erev Shabbos Chanukah, Ein Lo Kesef Liknois Lo Ner Shabbos Lo Ner Chanukah. Someone on Erev Chanukah, okay? He doesn't have money to purchase a Ner Shabbos or Ner Chanukah. Shadinhu, the halacha is Sha'avur Ner Chanukah Chayiv Limchor Kesusa. There's a halacha that if a person can't afford Ner Chanukah, he has to sell the clothing off of his back in order to afford Ner Chanukah. Find a similar halacha in Hilchos Pesach. It's more of a chiddush over here because Ner Chanukah is the Rabbanan. Okay, he has to sell it. Kimavoar, as it's explained, again, I apologize for the cutoff. In the Shulchan Aruch earlier in Siman Taf Reish Ayin Aleph Sif Aleph. See the recording job by Blood.com for more details. Reference.
But I would put this much. I don't know how to put this much.
Aaron, his topic. So Rabbi Kahneman, going, I guess, Rabbi Yosef Shalom Kahneman, has a suffix in the Sefer Divrei Harav Chilik Beis in the Lukutim Siman Yod Beis. I did not look this up, just letting you know. Based on what is implied from the Rambam in Parakeh of Hilchos Shabbos Halach Aleph. I guess the ein chiyuv limchor chesuso l'sar k'niyah Shabbos. There's no obligation to sell your clothing to buy an air for Shabbos. Ha'im mechuya ba'ofen zeh, the lamet's cut off. Limchor chesuso almanas l'knois ner Chanukah. In this situation, are you obligated to sell your clothing to purchase ner Chanukah? Well, what's going to happen if you sell your clothing for Chanukah? Follow carefully. Listen carefully. Shechein im yimchor kesuso v'yeh probably biyadav ma'os har yitzarich lehoitziam over ner Shabbos kimavor kan shehu koydem l'ner Chanukah. If you're gonna sell your clothing and you're gonna have the cash in your hand now, you're selling your clothing, so you sold your clothing for ner Chanukah to purchase ner Chanukah. But the halacha is that Ner Shabbos you purchase before Ner Chanukah. So you're going to need to use that money for Ner Shabbos. Because it comes before Ner Chanukah. Consequently, you sold your clothing for Ner Shabbos and you're not obligated to sell your clothing for Ner Shabbos. In other words, what happens? A guy has limited money. The guy has no money. So he's selling his clothing because Allah says you have to sell your clothing for Ner Chanukah. But the problem is that once he has the money, as we learned from our whole sugya, the money goes for Ner Shabbos, not for Ner Chanukah. So now you sold your clothing for Ner Shabbos, which you weren't obligated to sell your clothing for. So comes along with Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and the Halicha Shlomo on Chanukah Perik.
Is it a tzarchian?
Yeah.
Kahneman leaves it at tzarchian.
I don't know. I didn't look up the Divrei Harav.
But he just brings up the point. He doesn't say what to do.
Yeah,
with
he
that
brings up the
point.
question. He brings up the point.
Okay, but he didn't answer it.
He brings up
Okay,
the point.
Our Shlomo Zalman comes. Okay.
Yeah. Comes along with Shlomo Zalman. By the way, others also, they bring these in this farm. They take this
whole-
chakira, this shaila, this riddle, you could call it. He shares with someone who's into lumdis. Comes along with Shlomo Zalman Auerbach in Halicha Shlomo and Perik Yud Gimel Norchos Halacha footnote 35. Shemestaber sheyimchor ksusa. It's logical to say you sell your clothing. That's haner sheyikna yadlik l'shem ner Chanukah. Wow. And you would take a light, you would actually light the ner Chanukah, because that's what you were obligated to sell your clothing for. Ner Shabbos, for ner Shabbos is considered as you don't have any money. All you have is your clothing. So this is a tremendous chiddush on the sugya, and this you could even ask a twist the riddle around over here and say, wait a second. If you're selling your clothing, where do we have a case where if someone doesn't have any money, he would end up lighting Ner Chanukah without going into the electricity shaila over Ner Shabbos? The answer is, if you really don't have anything, then you would sell your clothing. And according to Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, that money would only go towards Ner Chanukah, because clothing that's sold only needs to be sold for Ner Chanukah. Ner Shabbos, you wouldn't need to, even there no Shabbos proceeds. To be honest, I don't like it so much. But I'm a huge Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach fan.
Okay.
I don't think it's so posh that that's the halacha. But again, I am nothing, my opinion doesn't even matter next to Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, not even close, not even in a different universe. Meidach, that's going to Moshe Feinstein. According to Rav Shalom Elyashiv. Moshe Feinstein and Rav Elyashiv say, Shachin chayiv limchor kesuso likno is ba ner Chanukah. Yeah, you're obligated to sell your clothing to buy ner Chanukah. So you sold your clothing. You were obligated to sell it for Ner Chanukah, but now that you have the cash,
money,
so now you need to use it for
Ner Shabbos.
Ner Shabbos. To be honest, I don't like those shittas either. You know what I like? I like this the best because it's the easiest way out. The Ber Halacha, Achim, that's Ber Halacha lehel. Ber Halacha in Hilchos Ner Shabbos, Siman Reish Samachim Oseh Beis Zibra Maskal Al Psachim quotes the Prima Godim who says Shagam leNer Shabbos Sarich Limchor Chesuso. For Ner Shabbos, you also need to sell your clothing. Who said you don't need to sell your clothing for Ner Shabbos?
Gemara. The Gemara told you.
Which
specifically.
Gemara?
I don't know. Where did they get the idea they have to sell?
I don't know.
clothing
You
for
tell me.
Hanukkah?
I don't know. You tell me.
Where was it brought down?
I don't know. You tell me.
We see Rav Kahanim again, where he brought it down.
He doesn't quote.
With the Rambam.
He says it's implied from the Rambam.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not a din of the Gemara.
Okay. So you're taking so the Prima Godim says no. For Ner Shabbos, you also have to sell. What, by the way, in Lumdus would be the logic why you only need to sell your clothing for Ner Chanukah and not Ner Shabbos because of Pisum Nisa? Okay, but Ner Shabbos is Shalom Bayis. It's also a Chashuv Zach. Not even learning the whole time. So this is a very interesting riddle over here. There's what to look into over here, and I'm just to end with this point. If you want to do a deeper dive, look up the Divrei Harav, look up the Halicha Shlomo and Chanukah, look up the Sefer, the Yeshurun, look up the Be'er Halacha, look up the Prima Godim, delve a little bit deeper into this, right? But I mean, we go deep enough, but I like going deep on something that's halacha l'maisa. And as is, this isn't so halacha l'maisa. This also, Baruch Hashem, we don't have these issues. But nevertheless, the Derech brings it. It's an interesting question. It's Torah. But, for someone who is interested more in the lumdus than halacha l'maisa, which it seems like is the minhag of most Jews who learn Torah seriously. So then this is certainly something to look into even more. Okay, so Amir Tzah Hashem. Tomorrow we will conclude this siman. We're definitely concluding it because all we have left is this little footnote. This little footnote in footnote 4, and this little footnote over here in 7. That's it. So tomorrow we're going to conclude it with a very short conclusion, and then we're going to do a full review tomorrow of everything typed up. We're going to get a full review Chazar of this entire siman, and then next week we'll see what will happen. Everyone should have a wonderful day and Hanukkah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right, unpleasant day.
Good stuff.